No rain on this parade as the Florida Panthers put on another epic celebration in South Florida.
You're Locked On Panthers, your daily podcast on the Florida Panthers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into this Monday, June 23rd edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. Thank you for making the Locked On Florida Panthers Podcast your first listen of the day. I'm Armando Velez. You can follow me on X at Monoman12. Follow the show account anywhere you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. And shout out to the everydayers who come back here and get your daily Florida Panthers fix. So, Florida Panther fans, grateful to be back here once again on another edition of the show to discuss everything in the world of the Florida Panthers after an epic week that we just experienced in South Florida. From the last time that we spoke to you guys on Friday, which was actually recorded around like 7 p.m., right before all the celebrations at Club 11 and the appearances at Raising Cane's, DQ for Brad Marchand and Sam Reinhart, respectfully, end of season media availabilities, and of course, the epic parade that South Florida put on. There's a lot that's happened here. And honestly, from the time that I left the place that I was staying at in Dade County at 6:45 a.m., from the time that I got back to the residence at around 7 p.m., didn't even get to watch Game 7 of the NBA Finals. It took me over an hour to get out of Las Olas. I mean, the amount of joy that I was filled with everything that went on this weekend, and the fact that going west on Las Olas to get out of the parade and seeing all the people in Panthers gear just walking, never thought that I would have ever seen anything like this just 10 years ago when the Violas first bought the franchise. And South Florida, you guys have everything to be proud of when it comes to just this team and just the amount of joy that you guys are experiencing with this franchise. And I mean, all started with the parade going down A1A. No rain in the forecast this time around. There was like a little bit of sprinkles, a little bit of a breeze from time to time. I mean, you saw how the advertising from some of the airplanes going around Fort Lauderdale Beach were like the Panthers 3-peat plus 1,000 coming, and the back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. The players were wearing the reigning champ shirts with the Stanley Cup as the two eyes in the word reigning. It's just and while you saw last year that they were wearing Conquered the Hunt. So just incredible apparel line as well for you guys to purchase if you guys want to purchase that and have it yourselves. Later on, we'll talk about another thing that you can purchase that is quite hilarious from what we saw during the parade on Sunday. But man, I'm just overfilled with joy, and also the amount of people who went up to me to say hello. I want to give those people a special shout out. I want to give a special shout out to Josh, Jacqueline, Mike Sanchez, Ricky, and Sammy Para. All those people who went up to me to say hello during the championship parade, and also got a picture. I was very glad to take a picture with all of you guys, and also thank you guys for supporting the show. Thank you once again to the everydayers coming here. It's truly an honor to be your host and just to once again talk about this team every day, because this is truly a service that I want to provide to each and every one of you, because the Panthers have deserved this amount of promotion. And even if they weren't doing well, I've always wanted to promote this team and just have a discussion about this, because this sport is truly growing in this region. So some of the news and some of the notes that the takeaways from the parade, just whenever, they're going down A1A, as I said, Matthew Kachchuck saying, even tweeting out before, death, taxes, and me shotgunning a beer at the elbow room, and not only keeping his promise, going off the parade path, and also bringing his dad, Keith Kachchuck, to the mix, and also shotgunning it there. And the amount of times they've gone to the elbow room, I even attended the elbow room on one of the days in between the parade and the championship. Did not run into players, but that wasn't the intention of what I was trying to do, even though I talk to them in a media setting all the time. But just to get the vibe check for South Florida, just wanted to see how the scene was overall and the fact that once again this region is just so pumped when it comes to this team. And also the fact that one of the coolest things that I also saw was the fact that Matthew Kachchuck was one of the leaders of getting one of the biggest Panther fans out there, Big C's, Cesar Lucero, when they went to Club 11, bringing him onto the stage, having the Stanley Cup over him and having him grab the Stanley Cup for a little bit while they were grabbing the other end, and also opening one of the barricades to allow Cesar to go through A1A as well. So that is another cool classy gesture that the Florida Panthers have put there. And also Matthew Kachchuck pulling his inner Conor McGregor, saying, "I want to apologize to absolutely bleeping no one," which this is a family-friendly show, so we're not allowed to swear on the program. So we have to keep it PG here when it comes to all the talk of what has been said on the stage. Even had to do it last year, unfortunately, for the parade, how we had to bleep everything out. And once again, Matthew Kachchuck emphasizing about how much being traded to the Florida Panthers, how much it's changed his life as well. I mean, the culture shift for the Panthers, bring him in 3 straight finals, 2 of them victories. Matthew Kachchuck is ultimately the culture, not necessarily the culture setter, but a big part of setting it. I believe the real culture setter is Alexander Barkov for the Panthers. And hey, even Aaron Ekblad said that without Alexander Barkov, they always have a chance. But Matthew Kachchuck is just the partner that Alexander Barkov needed on his team there, even though they don't play on the same line. But also another takeaway for the Panthers here is Brad Marchand, which he made an appearance at Dairy Queen after they spent the night at 11 Club in Miami. Though those guys were up late, Brad Marchand was trying to go back into the club while Alexander Barkov was trying to stop him a little bit, serving blizzards for the kids. We had a few fans yelling "woo" constantly there. I mean, I was joking around saying I want what he's having for the fan, on how pumped up he was just to see Brad Marchand. And the fact that there was also a fan during the parade that had a sign saying "the last rat standing" with a rat mask and the Brad Marchand jersey flipped to the front. So that was pretty cool. So even after his DQ appearance, he had a video of him from his face zooming down to his shirt with the Edmonton Oilers logo saying "losers" on it. And there was even a part during the parade where I was going from the media riser to the porta potties, and I see a sticker of that logo, that made up logo, right on the porta potties. And there was also someone in a cowboy hat towards the front of the stage that had that on it too. So the fan base is having a little bit of fun, poking fun right at the Edmonton Oilers. And the Florida Panthers also kind of did the same thing, where this is according to Empty Netters pod. The Oilers ordered from a certain restaurant in Broward County right before going back to Edmonton for Game 5. For the parade, the Florida Panthers also ordered sushi from that same restaurant to celebrate on the bus during their championship parade. So the pettiness is so hilarious for what the Panthers pulled out on Sunday afternoon during the parade. So that was it's comedic, hysterical, you name it, all the synonyms that you can name there. And also Brad Marchand during their team dinner right before they went to 11, taking a picture of every single teammate saying thanks blank wherever they came from. Thanks Canes for Gustav Forsling. Thanks Blue Jackets for Bill Zito. Thanks Winnipeg Jets for Paul Murice. Literally everyone. He only thanked the Minnesota Wild for Dmitry Kulikov because that was his most recent team, but it would have been more hilarious if he went down the laundry list of teams that Dmitry Kulikov played for right before coming back to the Florida Panthers as well. So that's another part of just how well Brad Marchand has fit in. And I know, and personally, with the reports of what he's going to be asking for his next contract, that's around $8.5 million. I'm not expecting the Florida Panthers to re-sign him, but man, is he going to leave such a big impact on this Florida Panthers team and on South Florida? And he was also asked during his visit to Dairy Queen what do you got to say to Bill Zito? And he says, give me a contract. When you have so much success and also have built a brotherhood in such a short time, you can understand why he wants to stay. And also ordering pizzas at the elbow room later, just casually getting 4 boxes of pizza, and also while having a drink saying, I'm not bleeping leaving, kind of impersonating Sam Bennett for what he said at Club 11 as well. So we got a lot more to get to when it comes to this championship parade and what our reactions were from the players and everything else. So stick around and we're going to chat about that and more. We're going to do that next here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by wonderful pistachios. And you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, give you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help you keep feeling fuller longer. Plus, personally, I love the no shells variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days, whether I'm snacking at my desk, road trip, or just a quick protein boost. They're always my go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. And for me personally as well, sometimes South Florida traffic can be hectic, and having those pistachios in the cup holder where you can just reach with reach into the cup with all the stop and go traffic. You don't want to go into an exit at a gas station because that just wastes a little bit more time. If you have those pistachios on you, they help, especially with the long commutes that we have here. So get snacking and cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Segment number 2 here on this Monday, June 23rd edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. And another successful parade in South Florida. And social media is hilarious for all the fans outside of the Florida Panthers. Fans from traditional markets, let's keep it that way, trying to crap on the parade, saying that nobody showed up to it. But here's the thing. They don't want to admit this. The fact that the Florida Panthers, everything that they have feared when it comes to non-traditional markets of succeeding has come true. And fear that the sport of hockey in a place that doesn't snow, and that we experience warm weather where the players are happy, and that when you get a whole lot of sun, it's better for you. The serotonin that you're getting, the melatonin, that you're getting here. And they don't want to admit it, that in traditional places that have embraced the sport, how they would embrace the championship comes from full-blown insecurity and a gatekeeping mindset. And those guys will continuously move the goalposts, no matter what the Florida Panthers do. So just smile, wave, but hey, fire back in a friendly way. And let's try to be as classy with it as possible, because there are certain fan bases in a traditional sense that have not experienced a championship since there were 6 teams. So it's just pure jealousy when it comes to it, and insecurity. And Mike Ryan of the Lepetard Show put it best. Generation of fans are being born here. And to forget the ratings, it's going to come to the point where even if the Panthers are not always going to the Stanley Cup final and going all the way, there's going to be a good percentage of fans who are going to tune into the NHL at large, whether it's Stanley Cup playoffs, international tournaments. It's more than just the Florida Panthers. Hockey registration, people are going to be more interested in it. It's just more of the growth of the game. This is what it's all about. As much as we love the Florida Panthers, it's about the growth of the game. And fans from traditional markets are big mad about it. But another thing another big takeaway that I want to discuss for the weekend is Alexander Barkov and Sam Reinhart. Those two perfect line mates for each other, 2 defensively savvy guys who the videos from Club 11 are some of the most fun you'll see teammates ever have. Barkov is not really a social media person, but the rare time that he did go on social media, going on his Instagram live, and then just the amount of conversation, then Barkov saying he has two people in his search option, which is Summer Rae and Samson Reinhart. And I can understand why. Whenever you have a few drinks in you, you might type something incorrectly. And they discovered that Summer Rae was a supermodel so, and then the amount of talking that Sam Reinhart did, which he even admitted during the parade, he spoke for 45 minutes too long at Club 11, wasn't answering any questions on Connor McDavid as well. So also, although he had a few drinks in him, he knew that it was best to avoid those questions there. And also, Matthew Kachchuck taking to Twitter about Summer Rae trying to recruit Anton Lundell, saying he says hi. So trying to help one of his teammates who's single, helping out a friend. I mean, so that's another thing for that. Matthew Kachchuck is just being a good wingman. That's the best way to put it. So good for Matthew Kachchuck, and hopefully, hey, maybe Summer Rae gives Anton Lundell a phone call. Who knows? But Barkov doing it very classy once again, going onto the stage, starting with the Bobby chant, wearing a T-shirt of Matthew Kachchuck smoking the cigar in the locker room as well, and also thanking everyone from the leadership, the equipment staff, the training, strength and conditioning, everyone during the parade. So it's just once again another example that Barkov is putting out there of just the type of captain that that people would want on their team. Does it with his great defensive play, and also thanking the proper people along the way. Sam Reinhart keeping his speech short, and he also made that appearance at Raising Cane's, having 4 different chicken tender meals to represent 4 goals. He also answered questions on how he was able to go from the club to Raising Cane's just in a very short turnaround, and also spoke about thank goodness there's not the sobriety test there. So just the amount of comedy and the amount of laughter that we got to experience. I mean, Jim Valvano even said it best: if you laugh, you think, and you cry, that's a full day. And I hope that each and every one of you got to experience all those various emotions throughout the week, ever since the Florida Panthers clinched their Stanley Cup championship on June 17th here. So we spoke about the Bobby chant from Alexander Barkov. We spoke during the locker cleanout with Sergei Bobrovsky, how he still remains very focused. He's still, after winning 2 championships, from going undrafted to 2 Vezina trophies to even now stamping his Hall of Fame case. And here's the thing: even after the first appearance in the Stanley Cup final, where he had over 600 saves and faced an average of 33 shots against in that run, I thought that Bob stamped his Hall of Fame case then, even without the Stanley Cup ring. But he's still very focused, and we saw from the videos how clubbing really isn't his thing. He stands to the side just looking at his teammates go wild. Very low-key type of dude. And even if you were to go back to Club 11 or any of the various clubs in South Florida, chances are 0.0001% chance that you'll see Sergei Bobrovsky there. But he probably won't appreciate these type of the accomplishments, until after probably his career is done. But that's also admirable, in my opinion, because the fact, and this is just how a goalie is wired, the fact that you have to be so mentally sharp in order to be on top of your game. And yeah, we've compared Sergei Bobrovsky to Carey Price when it comes to just his media availabilities, and you can't tell how sometimes when the team wins or loses, it's just the type of focus you want from your $10 million a year goaltender. And once again, Dale Talon has his fingerprints on this championship. He made the signing for Sergei Babski, drafted Aaron Ekblad, and Alexander Barkov. Had the guys to trade that Bill Zito traded his guy Jonathan Huberdeau in order to trade for Matthew Kachchuck. If there was no Huberdeau, there was no Matthew Kachchuck coming over here. So Dale Talon still has his fingerprints big time on these two championships. Sam Bennett's another guy that I want to talk about. Trying to quiet down the crowd. They even had DJ Genesis, which what a week for DJ Genesis as well. DJ in the Stanley Cup parade, the Club 11 being on NBC6. I spoke about it with him after the Panthers won the championship on the ice. I'm like, dude, congratulations. These appearances for you are going to really help get you gigs. And this is what it's all about when I don't know if he has a part-time job outside of DJing, but this promotion for DJ Genesis is also going to help him make this full-time if it isn't already. So big congratulations to him. Wanted to give a special shout out to him. But Sam Bennett having everyone shush, and having the microphone to him and pulling his inner Wolf of Wall Street, Leonardo DiCaprio, saying, "I'm not bleeping leaving," and everyone like cheering and saying, and just filled with joy. He was the only one of the three. Well, Brad Marchand also said it, as we mentioned earlier, but it was the day after. I'm more sure about Sam Bennett and the numbers working out for him to stay, because now the reports are saying that the contract is currently around the range of 7.5, which would be an absolute steal for a guy who just performed so well during the postseason. And once again, pulling his inner Conor McGregor, saying that I would like to apologize to absolutely bleeping nobody, and talking about how everyone thinks we're bullies, how we mistreat other guys. I'm just paraphrasing that part. I don't have the whole quote memorized, but how the Panthers played dirty, but also discussing how, hey, this is how they won. This is how you gotta play the hard style type of game, because once again, the Stanley Cup playoffs are a war of attrition. Going back to Brad Marchand, he also said how he doesn't have to worry about getting knocked out by Sam Bennett anymore, going back to the second round of the 2024 championship. So everything is forgiven. I mean, everything was forgiven from the time that they played together in Four Nations back in February. So just the fact that, once again, that these guys are embracing each other is just, once again, a smile on a lot of people's faces. And also, Sam Bennett brought the Conn Smythe Trophy to the Humane Society of Broward County for the place where he started his foundation going into a contract year, and a grand total of 41 goals from regular season, a goal at Four Nations, and the postseason. The amount of animals who are going to find a home or have already found a home thanks to Sam Bennett and his contributions on and off the ice is just incredible. And speaking of pets and cats, we have a lot more to get to on today's edition of the show, where we're going to discuss Paul Murice, Matthew Caldwell, and Aaron Ekblad. We are going to discuss our takeaways from what they had to say during the parade and more on today's edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. And summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. If you're already following the action, why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburnt on the beach. And I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups in the MLB, as now it is baseball season in full force here, right before training camp of the NFL season. And it's easy to use, fast payout, and makes even regular season games feel like must-watch sports. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Segment number 3 here on this Monday, June 23rd edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. And if you didn't catch me laughing during the FanDuel break, when the part where it discussed on the beach of just reminded me so much of the parade, which thankfully after the parade was over, I, along with a lot of fans, went for a dip in the water. Just the amount of sun I was getting, which the media area was not really shaded. I did back up a little bit towards the start of the actual ceremony where the guys were talking, and if you can't tell from watching this on YouTube, it's pretty bad burnt that I got, even though I reapplied sunscreen so many times here. But a few historical events that also happened on the day of the parade, June 22nd, 2022, the Florida Panthers hired Paul Murice as their next head coach of the Florida Panthers after letting go of Andrew Burnett. And 3 years to the day that he got hired, the Panthers celebrated their second championship parade. And also another thing that happened on June 22nd, this one in 2003, where Rick Dudley, now senior advisor for the Panthers, tried drafting Alexander Ovechkin multiple times in the 2003 draft, a year before he was eligible, trying to use leap years as a way to get him into the Florida Panthers because they knew he was going to be an outstanding talent in that. And now he's the all-time leading goal scorer. And now Rick Dudley, full circle moment for him, 2 championships, a big part in trying to claim Gustav Forsling off of waivers, and also the trade for Sam Reinhart. He was a big part of the Panthers, and just talking about it with the management on just trying to go after those guys. So congratulations once again to senior advisor, former GM, Rick Dudley, on 2 championships. He's going to get his name on the Stanley Cup again for the Florida Panthers. And speaking of management, Bill Zito invited the wives of the Panthers and the management to do a toast led by Teresa Viola. So that's another thing. So Matthew Caldwell also got to speak as well. It talk about that it takes a lot of leadership for the Panthers to debunk the whole state taxes situation. It doesn't come without the leadership. And also ask the question, how about the 3rd Stanley Cup? And the crowd went wild there. So Paul Murice, as promised, when talking during his locker cleanout on Saturday, he spoke that he was going to wear a shirt in relation to his cats, Poppy and Penny. And not only did he wear a shirt with their faces on it, they had crowns. He was also wearing a Benny's Buddies hat supporting Sam Bennett and his cause for the Humane Society of Broward, but also wore a button-up t-shirt with pictures of his cat on it, designed by his daughter. And you could also get this at FLA Team Shop and pre-order it as well. So the fact that the Panthers are embracing it, the amount of cat lovers, including myself, are probably going to go and buy it. And it says rain on it, REIGN. So that kind of rain. No rain on this parade this time around, once again, for the Panthers. So once again, just Paul Murice and just the amount of comedy that he brings constantly. But he did say that he was going to keep it PG rated compared to last year. I mean, you can understand the difference between the first championship and the second, because he'd been waiting 30 plus years for it. And he even said it last year, 30 years of to his wife of being married to an a-hole. While I'm sure there was a lot of nights that he went home and also was wondering if he would ever get this done. And also, Paul Murice had some great perspective during the locker clean out on just the not wanting to touch the Stanley Cup so many times, not wanting to always be around it, because the fact is that he always wants to just continue to be focused on the task at hand, just like Sergei Babski. And the coaches also had a dinner a few nights after the Stanley Cup, and also started their preparations for training camp. So they're already so focused on trying to do it again. And he said that they're going to conduct training camp a little bit differently this year. I can't wait to see how it's going to be conducted, and that when we could give you that information when we do find out. As of right now, we have no idea what that is going to look like for the Panthers here. But last thing before we wrap up here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast is the passing of the Stanley Cup during the parade from Ekblad and Forsling to each other. A great deep pair that these two have been ever since the Panthers traded Mackenzie Weegar as part of that Matthew Kachchuck trade. Gustav Forsling elevates to the top line of top pair for the Panthers, and just the amount of growing pains that they had at first under the Murice system, and just from that to shut down the extensions to Gustav Forsling at last year's trade deadline, to the fact that he's going to be here for multiple years, 7 more years under his contract for Gustav Forsling. Kept his speech short. He's not a man that is of a lot of words, just like Sam Reinhart. This is a rarity from Sam Reinhart that we've seen. But Gustav Forsling discussing thanks, Carolina. And Matthew Kachchuck, right before introducing him, saying the best defenseman in the league. So, I mean, when you're talking about defensive defensemen, who's better than Gustav Forsling? Jacob Slavin's somewhere up there, but he does not have 2 Stanley Cup titles to his name. But then right before passing into Aaron Ekblad, right as the Panthers were getting onto the stage, the goal song for the Panthers were playing over and over again. And he walked up to the mic and said, F. Brooks Koepka. So keeping the tradition alive from the year before, just no cone this time. And also discussed about the bracelet that he had, that guess what this bracelet says? It says F. Brooks Koepka saying it. But Gustav Forsling, the thanks Carolina to also Aaron Ekblad discussing that. And also I wanted to discuss when Aaron Ekblad got the microphone at 11, which we saw a lot of these surface online, just the Aaron Ekblad looking down for a little bit and saying how much he loved his time here. And you felt the emotion that Aaron Ekblad was experiencing because of the amount of uncertainty about his future, but also probably just at the same time appreciating the journey. He said 11 bleeping years, and spoke about the amount of people who believed in him, from Bill Zito, Dale Talon, Paul Murice, even all the coaches before that. So he says he expects it to be home, but we'll see what the Panthers ultimately decide on what they're going to give him. You have to, whenever it comes down to paying contracts, it's not about giving contracts for what they were. It's about giving contracts for what you believe that they are going to be. So Zito has a tough decision to make. So does Aaron Ekblad. He has a tough decision to make as well. And the thing is, today is June 23rd. Panthers still have a full week, and the management have a full week of decisions. I don't believe that we are going to see things go to the buzzer like we saw last year because of the parade being on June 30th and then having to wait until midnight, almost midnight, for Sam Reinhart's extension to officially be announced. Because if it went past midnight, Reinhardt would not have had that 8th year, and there would have been a threat of that AAV for Rhino to be a little higher, to be it under 7. And they got it done. So the Panthers have a little bit more breathing room. Aaron Ekblad as well. Brad Marchand has a little bit of breathing room to think about everything. Other guys that I want to discuss before we sign off here: Evan Rodriguez, a fan throwing a shirt to him while he was shirtless, saying bleep around and find out, and him actually putting on the shirt. Nate Schmidt, we didn't see him speak on the stage. I thought he was going to be the most unhinged person when it comes to the speeches, but he did not get the microphone at all. But he was once again shotgunning beers as well. So that's another thing. I didn't even mention about all the craziness of Matthew Kachchuck dipping himself into the ocean. Just no Stanley Cup this time around. Remember, he got in trouble last year when it came to that. So more other crazy stuff that the Florida Panthers, the shenanigans that they were up to, but all in celebratory fashion, that we are very happy as we embrace this team and the community, and the Florida Panthers have embraced the community. Also, I want to give a special shout out to the fire department, the police department for Broward County for putting on putting everything together and making sure that everybody was safe, and also the people who were taken care of who maybe suffered heat strokes as well from how hot it was. And also they brought Amerant Bank security to the parade as well, to also protect the media riser as well as the other parts of the actual stage for the Panthers celebration. So a lot of work went into this when it came to just putting on another epic celebration. So I want to give a special shout out to everybody who put this well together, and also shout out to the fans. More importantly, the fans. This is what it's all about. Gladly, it was so hard to get around, but I will take that any day if that means that the sport of hockey is truly growing in South Florida. That was a lot that I just poured out on you guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed this edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Thank you once again for tuning in. We are going to be back probably on Wednesday. Today is a travel day for me, as now the celebration is over. We are going to be back on Wednesday to discuss everything in the world of the Florida Panthers and what is next. If you want your hockey fix tonight, the Charlotte Checkers are going to be playing Game 6 of the Calder Cup Final at home, 7 p.m. tonight, as they look to force a Game 7 on home ice. So you could watch that on Flow Hockey and NHL Network. So make sure to tune in if you still want your Florida Panthers related fix. So make sure you tune in there. But in the meantime, if you like what you're hearing, please subscribe to the podcast to be notified every single time the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast jumps into your podcast feed. Don't forget to also subscribe to the other shows on the Locked On NHL Network, including Locked On NHL, Locked On Fantasy Hockey, Flip Livingstone, and Stu Roden, and Locked On NHL Prospects. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. So I'm Armando Velez, signing off. And you've been listening to Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We're your team every day.